Welcome everybody, it's Brothermutant here. Today we're going to talk about the character that I'm going to bring on the next LP. And I still haven't decided which LP to pick. By all means, watch the previous video from this one. Let me know what you guys think. So far, I'm looking at either doing the Path of Evil campaign, which really sounds cool because it's level 1 to 20. I have 2 evil characters picked that I'm going to show you here in a moment. And of course, I'm open to suggestions if you don't like them, if you want something else. By all means, let me know what you guys think. If I don't pick that one, then I'm thinking I might do Fanglewood. I think that starts out at level 1 to level 3, something like that, and it goes to 7, I want to say. Sounds interesting. Made by a modder who is well respected and has given high praise for the particular amount of work that he or she put into it. So I'm thinking that that might be the first video I go for if I go on the neutral / good side of things. And I have a couple characters for that as well. So let's show you what we got. So this one here is a straight off ripoff from this particular website, Neverwinter92 Character Builder, which you can find at this webpage here, nwn2db.com. Allows you to search based on a variety of criteria. If it's catering compatible, if it's only for SOZ, the original campaign, you could search by title name, you could search by race or alignment or specific type of stats by the end of it, the specific class. Very useful, and it allows you to even build your own or copy builds, which is what I've done here. Since I'm only trying to get to level 20, even though this will let you go all the way up to level 30 under the options you see here, I've shrunk them back down to 20 for all of these because I want to make sure that I don't go too pie in the sky dreaming about what's going to be at level 21 and on up, those epic levels where everybody's got pretty much a badass character. This one, like I said, is a straight rip-off from someone else's. You can find it on the database, like I said. If you basically search for Rogue, Monk as your party requirements, and then I search for, actually, even though it's not in here, I searched for Kukri, Weapon Focus Kukri. For whatever reason, this one lights up like a Christmas tree, and he didn't pick Kukri, he picked Dagger. He can't have Kukri, which is fine. So Weapon Focus Dagger is fine with me. Daggers are easy to find. They do decent damage for what I'm going to be doing with it, so I'm pretty happy with it. This build specifically targets dex increases because of the rogue / assassin. The monk is helpful, the invisible blade is helpful, sure, but that rogue and the assassin really benefit from having high dex. They built for eventually, which you won't see here because it doesn't go past 20, perfect 2-weapon fighting. They get level 18, as you can see here, greater 2-weapon fighting, which is still pretty decent. And the only way to get this is 2 ways. One, you have to have the prerequisite dex 19, and all the other 2-weapon fighting, improved 2-weapon fighting, and base attack bonus, blah blah blah. Or, as you'll see in one of my other lawful neutral builds, you can be a ranger and get it without having to worry about having dex, and you'll see that here in a moment. This one is going to benefit from sneak attack damage, as you can see here, as well as death attack damage. After everything is said and done, I'll have, because they're additive, plus 9d6 damage for that sneak attack / death attack first hit. And something else I had never done, since I don't usually play these classes, is use this specific feat here called Feint. And while this only allows you to attack once, the very instantly, obviously from a hidden position, crouching tiger, hidden rogue, I get to basically sneak attack with this is the idea. So it's really useful for sneak attackers because even though I only get 1 swing with that dagger, I get a 9d6 added to it as well. So I still pretty much capitalize on some serious damage with that feint, and that feint's a better chance to hit is the goal. Combat expertise was needed for that, and again, I'm fine with that. Get a lot of good stuff here. Poison saves, ghostly visage, some spell usage from being an assassin, even though it's innate spell casting ability, not anything that will progress as far as casting ability. There we go. Invisible blade I never play, so this will be interesting for me too. Bleeding wound sounds like relatively useful. This build continues to go on, and it really only dips into monk for this one little dip. Flurry of blows will become extremely useful, you'll see here in a moment. But stunning fist, of course, can't be downplayed, and unarmed strike is still particularly useful. Of course, your monkly abilities, armor class bump because of the wisdom. So if you actually look at summary down here, you can see my armor This is for a character that's naked in the breeze. I have an armor of 22. That's still pretty good. 10 is coming from the 10. Everybody gets +5 from small stature. This is a halfling, strongheart halfling. +2 from my monk armor class bonus, which is coming from my wisdom pump. That'll go higher as, of course, I find wisdom increasing gear. Tumble, which is part of my skill set, which you'll see here in a moment. And then, of course, this massive +7 that you get from dexterity, which falls in the dodge category, but still they separate it out to let you know that it's because of dex. Dodge is one of those only armor class ones that continue to go higher and higher, so it's still fine. I just have to watch, make sure what kind of gear I'm wearing, so I'm not penalizing that really nice armor class I'm getting from being dexterity through the roof here. The stats are a little on lame sauce when it comes to strength, as you can see. Built a little bit for dex, as you can see. Constitution, yeah, intelligence is decent, and this is an intelligence-based build too, because they have a lot of skills that rogues will have access to. So as you'll see here in a moment, wisdom is necessary to get our will up. It is lame right now. Nothing in the spellcraft. As you can see down here, here's our total allocations of skill points for level 20. 186 points we'll get total. Bluff is decent, and I want to have a decent dialogue-based skill, whether we're talking bluff, intimidate, diplomacy, stuff of that nature. So this is one that's going to work with bluff. Charisma penalty kind of sucks, but nothing I can do about it. Not disable device, of course. All the roguely abilities are here. Nice hide, nice move silently, and of course pumped up because of things like dexterity. And even have skill affinity, move silently, so that's a nice little increase. This one here, the small stature, gives me a +4 bump for hide, so that's nice. So again, pretty decent stats for level 20 character. Lore sucks, but well, what are you going to do? Open lock is pretty decent. Search is decent. Set trap, that's more likely. The 5 gets you, I think, another point in disabling device. So technically speaking, this will be increased, even though it doesn't show it here. Spot, of course, to find other sneakers. And tumble, that didn't need to go to 23. This 30 doesn't matter so much because of the dex. Don't get me wrong, it's useful. It doesn't give me another armor class bump because it's 30. It only goes by how many points you've invested. So 20, for every 10 points you've invested actually in tumble, you get +1 to your armor class. So I get a +2 here because I've invested at least 20 points. Eventually, the reason this is at 23 is because eventually they push it to at least 30, and that would be another armor class increase. So, but that's if I would take it past level 20. But again, typical rogue, sneaky assassin, sounds like fun. Never tried either really for any length of time. My arcane trickster notwithstanding. But this is a straight up sneak thief bastard, assassinating, invisible blading piece of shit. So sounds cool. Reflex is clearly through the roof. Everything else is going to kind of suck. I'm going to have to rely on some things for that. Traps is pretty much awesome because I am a rogue. Everything else we get a little bit because of things like fearless, a poison save because of I want to say assassin. So we get a little bit of help there instead of our lame sauce fortitude saves, but nothing that's gonna make or break us. So this is one of those classes that get the medium progression. The rogues do. I think most do. Probably these guys as well. So as you can see, we're not getting a whole lot of bad progression to a level 20 character. If it was a straight fighter type class, this would be 20. So you can see we're not great. If it's a straight low BAB class, which would be like, say, a wizard, it would only be 10. So we're kind of in middling. So kind of where we expected to be. Not the best hit points ever. We're really relying on stuff missing us or doing sneak attack damage and taking out their heavy hitters quick. So, and of course, having a team to help us. The real reason this character shines is not just because of it being a rogue. It's because of all these main hand, offhand skills that you see here. And that's because of our 2-weapon fighting. You'll see that if I basically have 2 daggers in my hand, I'll get these benefits. I'll have equal attacks on both hands. Right? If I take it to perfect 2-weapon fighting, I'll have even more. And this goes up because of flurry of blows. It just doesn't count for it right now. So an extra attack per round when fighting with unarmed attacks, quarterstaff, shurikens, or commas. Oh, sorry, take that back. So this would have to be a comma. I wonder if I can do that. Let's do that right now. Get a comma? I'll take a comma. Let's do commas. That's fine with me. And that'll allow me to really capitalize then on these attacks. I thought it was for anything that was a weapon finesse based thing. That's my bad. We do have weapon finesse, so you'll see that that's why our attacks are as good as they are. The 21 is still pretty decent, especially when we started with the 14. That's coming from our dexterity. Right? Now we have all these penalties going for us, but small stature, light offhand weapon, the weapon focus, assuming we're using a comma, and of course the greater 2 weapon gets us back up there into the 21s. So it's like ignoring that -6 dual wielding penalty. So we can really capitalize on that. Range is going to be decent, and not surprising because it's good aim, small stature, and the dex will really be allowing us to do some damage at range. Hell, I can even stock this character up with shurikens thanks to that flurry. Flurry of blows allow you to use things like shuriken, so I can load up shuriken and just start chucking like a fiend. So this will be fun. So I switched it to this one little change. Oh, that's why he did comma. Ah, boo. So I guess I won't be able to do what I want to on that. Kukri would be fine, but unfortunately he doesn't have access to Kukri. So he had to go dagger. There we go. That was a kind of a mistake. Oh well. That'll still be fun. It won't be epic as I wanted to be, but it'll still be pretty darn sweet. And that damage from the dagger versus the comma, whatever, it's not really going to make or break us. It was really the sneak attack damage and the death attack that was going to make this tune badass. That's my first evil character. My second evil character choice that I want you guys to vote on, which of course these 4 you want to see, is a neutral evil character. It is a human who prays to Velsharun, who happens to be the god of basically evil undead deals, necromancy, necromancers, evil witches, and undeath. And the reason for this is a necromancy build. Okay, it is a wizard / pale master / red wizard of Thay. Now, while that all sounds pretty, and it is, this is going to be relying on its pets, the undead, to help us out here, as well as straight up magic damage. So we're going to have some protection and whatnot, but we're going to rely on crushing things with necromancy spells. So decent intelligence, nothing stellar. We'll get there to 20 eventually. But I want to have some decent constitution, some decent dex for those ranged touch attacks and other stuff like that. A little bit of wisdom to help us out, but nothing really necessary. From there, the 2 things that are really going to stand out for you guys is the fact that we picked an actual school. Thematically speaking, it makes sense. Notice how by picking the school, you have all these different choices, or the general, or there's no prohibited school. Because I picked necromancy at the very first level, I will not get any divination spells ever. Okay, I'm fine with that. It's kind of sucky because there are some decent ones in there, but there's no damaging divination spells per se, like maybe 1 or 2. So kind of sucks, but I'm okay with that. I can work around it. The trick is we're also doing a Red Wizard of Thay, and what happens when you pick them, they also have that word, your school. Let me find it here. Specialist Wizard and able to cast 3rd level spells. So basically whatever you specialize in, you have another penalty. So now watch this. Because I'm Red Wizard of Thay, Specialist Defense, Enhanced Specialization, there we go. We actually lose another school, and this is a problem, sort of. For Necromancy, as you see here, Abjuration, Conjuration, Evocation, and Necromancy, and Transmutation, they'll lose also the Illusion School. Now, what most people do, and there's nothing wrong with this, is they try to get to level 9 spellcasting as a wizard anyway, before they dip into the Red Wizard of Thay. Why is that? Because if they learn all those illusion spells that I'm going to lose in their book, the game will not delete them. They'll still have access to them. If you don't learn them before you pick Red Wizard of Thay, then of course I'll lose access to all those illusion spells. I can't even scribe them in my book, which sucks. But what I'm going to do, because I think this is the way they intended it, is I should never have access to illusion spells as a Red Wizard because I'm a necromancer, right? I will never pick an illusion spell with this build. I'll do what, to me, I feel is what they originally intended. That I should never have access to that. So it's kind of a glitch. It's not a glitch that other people exploit. It's fine. Do it. Use it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think I should have access to it based on what this thing is telling me. I did think of doing, instead of this evil character, another evil character, which was a Eldritch Knight who was evil. basically the same setup. Instead of Pale Master, obviously Elder's Knight was necessary. I didn't do Red Wizard of Thay, but I did pick a school. That school, for me, made the most sense was Transmutation, the one that buffs your physical stats, allowing you to, like walk over and just like beat the crap out of things as a wizard in armor. If I picked Transmutation up here, you'll see that Transmutation school loses Conjuration. Conjuration has a lot of things going for it, so that would really suck. But it's what it is, and I would lose them from level 0 on up because I'm picking it at level 1. What does that mean? Conjuration spells include things like Acid Splash, Ray of Frost, so I would even lose those 2 cantrips. That would suck. Especially since there's a lot of spells in there that would be really useful for crafting. Necromancy doesn't really lose a whole lot of things for crafting then as a result. Yes, I lose some divination spells, yes, I'll lose illusion spells, but by and large I wasn't really relying on those for crafting. So you'll see that I also have Craft Wondrous Item, Craft Magic Arms and Armor. So I'm trying to build a crafting Pale Master here, Necromancer kind of character. So I think this one would be fun. It may not be epic, it may not be the best use of skills and points and all that fun stuff, but I think it would stand the test of time. They get that Pale Master pretty early on, so if I do Path of Evil, for example, with this character, I could get into these levels relatively quickly, I think, and really kind of shine with that Pale Master stuff, crafting some of the magic stuff that I'll need. Craft Wondrous items up early for things like Brooch of Shielding. Right? But you get a lot of armor from this character because of being an undead prick. It's not listed here until you see this under natural. Base armor, everyone gets the +10. Bone skin +6. Of course, that will only be there once I get to level 20. Some extra armor from tumble, and a little bit of increase from dex. Right? And of course, I'll have dex-based gear more likely than not as a wizard to help increase that too. So I can get that armor up pretty good. And again, Naked in the Breeze, doing pretty darn good here for hit points even as a wizard type. Okay, Fortitude. Reflexes, piss all. Will's, the best one we got, no surprise there. It doesn't show spellcraft for whatever reason. This is a glitch. So this should actually say 4. And why do I know that? It's because you get, for every 5 points you invest in spellcraft, you should get 1 point of spell resistance increase to your saving throw, however you want to think of it. So 20 should give me 4, right? 20 divided by 5 is 4. So I should have 4 here. If you take it all the way to 30, like most people do, or they try to, I'm assuming, I will get a +6. And the reason what that means is when you think about all these other things that you're throwing for, these are just normal Fortitude, Reflex, and Will saves. If it's a magical spell cast at me that requires a Fortitude save, I would get 13 plus whatever I got going on for me here from the spell increase thanks to spellcraft. So another 4, like I said, would be added to me. So instead of 13 for my bonus to my saving throw, I'd be 17. Or 11 or 20 if it was a spell-based saving throw, right? Not the best attack bonus. As a matter of fact, this is actually gimped a little bit because I should have at least 10 at a level 20. So this is subpar. So that sucks. I'm not really going to be built for melee. Yeah, I can buff up with some spells, of course, but by and large, I'm a ranged attacker. And hiding behind my undead horde of pets. A lot of really nice resistances here. Notice I'm immune to hold, paralysis, stun, and my personal favorite, crit immunity. That'll be super nice. I will have full spell progression, at least up to level 8. Excuse me. 5, 5, and 5. I forget that Pale Master only gets spell progression for every odd level. So this, by level 20, will not be getting the level 9 spells. This is close enough. And I will take it to 30 eventually, so I'm not worried about not getting it. But it will not reach level 9 in the LP, ideally. Have some decent concentration, make sure I can cast my spells. I have a good craft skills for alchemy, armor, and weapons, and that is not necessarily optimized, but this is a pretty good numbers that I'll need for making the best crafting gear. 18 will be a really nice bump for making acid glass and all that wonderful stuff, as well as harvesting out any essences that I might need. Craft armor, 18 or 23. As a matter of fact, I get a bump from intelligence. Will allow me to craft pretty much any kind of armor I would need for this character. 28 for a weapon. Again, the same deal. I'll have a decent weapon. Whether it's a weapon I'll be using, probably not. But at the very least, I can pass them to my team, and I'll be able to enchant them thanks to my craft magic arms and armor, and the craft wondrous items. That'll be helpful. So I'll be the crafter of the team. Good intimidate. Again, I wanted a nice charisma-based influence of some kind, whether it's diplomacy or bluff, or in this case, intimidate. Since I'm a necromancer, being a big scary dude with a rotting arm made kind of sense to me. High lore. I am a wizard after all. Not surprising that I'd want that high. Spellcraft, again, same reason. Tumble, I won't be able to get any higher than 10 unless I dip into something weird, which I don't think I will do. I can take it up to, like, I think maximum of 16. There's no point. 10 is where it's going to cap out, giving me my armor class bump. Use magic device. I will try to take this to 16 at least, because the more that goes up, the better off I'll be for using things like monk boots and blah blah blah. So this is my other evil character, so to speak. I like it. In fact, I kind of like it more than the rogue, but don't let that sway you. I'm going by personal opinions of everyone else. And if you don't think that these are evil enough, or you think that point allocations could be better, by all means let me know. Able learner is kind of my thing. Don't always have to take it, but it's usually a good choice. Combat expertise was an extra way to protect myself as a wizard. Little extra armor, little less attack bonus, but just to keep me alive while my pets wear them down. Extend spells always useful, I find. Then we are explaining these. This one helps increase my caster level, so to speak. These were necessary to get Red Wizard, and I'm fine with them anyway, because why not have better spell penetration? It's all good things. These two, again, are just like the extend spell, as far as I could have them, I could leave them. I like them because more damage is more damage. Empowered is really useful for that. Shield proficiency is kind of a hit or miss guess. I picked it because I don't have access to shields, and I thought to myself, well, there is a couple shields that you can craft or find. That there's like a shield of the Magi or something like that that has no arcane spell failure to it, so like a buckler, and it has some pretty decent stats to it. And I'm like, well, maybe I can find something like that, or even craft my own and just have a little bit of an armor class increase as a result of it. Why the hell not? And if I can make it where it has no arcane spell failure, I'll do so. So I figured, might as well. So there's my evil characters. Now, from there, and I could play these on other campaigns too. There's not set in stone that it has to be the path of evil. Most of the campaigns I uploaded, though, for you guys to look at, wanted you to be good or neutral at least. Now that's where these two guys come along. Here is one that I've been toying around with for a while. It's only level 20. I've built it for level 30, so all the cool stuff is kind of missing. But it should get me what I need at least, and I'm happy to build him up because he'll still be fun. He is a favorite soul paladin, divine champion, which is just a dip right now. Eventually it'll get higher, but that's only in the 20s. And then Doom Guy will max out at 10 levels of it eventually. But this is going to be a pimp daddy bastard. We're going to call him the Great Smiter for a reason. This was actually copied and modified a little bit from someone else's build on this particular website. Notice my strength's kind of piss all. 13 is minimum, and I need it for a reason. You'll see why here in a moment. Low dex, decent-ish con. Low intelligence, which I'm never really a fan of. Low wisdom, but it's something. And the charisma is really pumped for a reason, and this will actually reach up to 26 by the time I get to level 30, if I'm not mistaken. We have to be lawful good because we're paladin, eventually, and Kellen Vort is necessary for a reason you'll see in a moment. Devout just made a perfectly good sense, thematically speaking. Able learner and power attack. I don't want to lose skill points if I don't have to, because my intelligence is still pretty low, and it's a waste to not have able learner, in my opinion, for those. Power attack is going to be needed because we need it to get divine might, so that'll be necessary. Picked it here. Practice spellcaster for favorite soul. Gives my dips outside of favorite soul, thanks to paladin or divine champion, kind of refunds them back to me. 4 levels worth anyway. Doesn't mean I increase spell progression, but it does help me have spells per day, and favorite soul is all about casting on the fly, kind of like a sorcerer. I will have decent spell progression thanks to it being a charisma based build, but my wisdom will mean I have a low DC, so if I have spells that are relying on saves being missed by my targets, I won't do well unless I start getting wisdom items as soon as possible. You need great fortitude for one of these guys, Divine Champion or Doom Guide. I want to say it's Doom Guide, so I had no choice but to pick it at some point. You get free resist of some element. I thematically picked cold, simply thinking to myself, well, maybe it's cold where I'm fighting, and I want to make sure that I can walk around butt-ass naked and not really suffer any ill effects. If I were to be smart, I'd probably pick fire or acid or sonic. These are probably the most common damaging types. Fire being a biggie, acid being also biggie, but you can make armor that protects you from it. Sonic being when it's not usually resisted. Electrical, of course, is even useful, but cold, I'm like, I just figured, what the hell? Pick something that made sense to me. Divine Might, for those of you who don't know, it's really fun. You need 13 Charisma and 13 Strength and the ability to turn undead, and this is the only time I get turn undead is at a level 4 Paladin, because I'm not a Cleric, right? And Favorite Soul don't get it. So, what this does is it adds my Charisma bonus to all weapon damage for a number of rounds equal to that Charisma bonus, hence the reason where it's a Charisma-based build. So right now, even at level 20, I'll get 6 extra magical or divine damage, I can't remember what it is, but one of those two, to my attacks for 6 rounds. So this will be hitting pretty heavy with just that. Now that basically uses a turn undead attempt. Well, you get 3 turn undead attempts per day, plus your charisma modifier. So my charisma modifier right now is 6. So 6 plus 3 is 9. Then I also have extra turning, 1, 2, and eventually I'll get 3. So if you just count the 2 that I have right now, that's plus 4 plus another 4, so that's 8 plus the 9. So that's like 17 turn undead attempts plus or divine might attempts. That's pretty awesome. Or divine vengeance attempts. You can spend one of your turn undead attempts to add 2d6 points of sacred energy damage to all your successful melee attacks against the undead until the end of your next action. This is a supernatural ability. Now I don't know if that's better than using divine might, but 2d6 sounds pretty good to me, and it's for every attack. So for just one round, but if I do it and I hit them like multiple times, well, that's doing a whole bunch of damage to that undead. Maybe it'll work out, we'll see. Could be that divine might's better. Smiting is the real reason for this build. I mentioned it before. As a paladin, you get smite evil for free at level 1. You only get 1 per day. You get another 1 at level 5, and every 5 levels thereafter. So at level 5, level 10, 15. Well, we only went 4 levels for paladin, so it's kind of silly, right? So I only get 1 smite evil, but I got extra smiting. That gives me 2 more castings a day. So that's only 3. So that's not really a great smiter for as far as you guys are concerned. Well, what you're missing is when I get high enough up, I think Divine Champion gets Smite Infidel, and that'll be in the 20s, which you're not going to see, unfortunately, in this LP, more likely than not. But once I get there, you'll see that I get Smite Infidel. Well, this also works with extra smiting. So then I'll have 3 from Smite Evil, 3 from Smite Infidel, and those are going to be even better, because the reason this is the Great Smiter is once you get to levels, I think it's like 24 to 30, I'll be Divine Championing it up again, and I can pick Greater Smiting 1 through, I think I get all the way to 7 by the end of this build. And what that means is it adds another stack of your charisma-based damage, or whatever the hell it does, and that charisma is going to be pumped through the roof by the time we're done. So I'll be smiting times, 8 times some ridiculous number, 5, 6, 7 per extra smite, per smiting attack, smite infidel or smite evil. So I'll have like 6 chances to do that and just wreck them for some serious damage, and it's super going to be fun. My opinion, anyway. All kinds of good stuff that goes with this build. Improved turning, I ain't worried about that. The turning on this ability, on this character is going to suck, because he's paladin for one, so he's going to be behind the curve. We don't go straight paladin, so there's that. We get some extra increase thanks to the Doom Guide levels, but it's still going to be weak sauce. And even with improved turning, it's still going to be kind of low level. I'll try it, but by and large, I'd be more likely to do something like Divine Might or Divine Vengeance and just mow through the undead with either of those activated. See where that gets me. But there's a lot of other good stuff that you get for being Kellenvar's big bad buddy. So this Kellenvar's boon does a lot of stuff for you, right? By the end of it all, my magical weapon, or my personal weapon, which is going to be a, what is it? Bastard Sword, because I get a free weapon focus in it, which is based off of my god and the fact that I'm a favored soul. So that weapon focus is going to be really useful. I'll make sure to find a good one or buy a good one, and I get all kinds of nice increases with that once I get to level 17. Basically, it's just a badass little motor scooter here for extra damage against undead creatures of designated foe type. I basically just turn into a bane weapon because it becomes a disruption weapon once I get high enough. I mean, this thing is just going to be all kinds of meaty and destructive for the undead slaughter that it's going to perform. I like it. I think it's going to be fun. The only thing that really concerns me is this weak sauce strength. But I'll have spells that I can buff with thanks to the favored soul spread. As far as spell progression, I'll only be able to get to level 7 by the time I get to level 20 character, level 7 spells by level 20. And then the DCs on these are going to suck. So use it for buffs. I'm immune to disease and fear, some cold resistance, like I said. I will have some spellcraft, so again, it's glitching where it's not showing the 4 here, but it should be 4. But you see my fortitude's nice, my reflexes are decent, my will is nice, and I should have even more than this because Divine Champion hasn't added to it like it should. Once I get into the 20s, this will go up even more. So this thing is a saving fiend. Another reason why I like this build. But a decent point spread. I don't get a ton, but I wanted to make sure I had decent concentration, make sure I'm not missing on my spells. I'll be armored up, but still I could get hit. Wanted to have some diplomacy, didn't need it too high because I'm going to have high charisma anyway, so that should help me out a little. Some heal and some lore. The spellcraft was necessary for, again, my protection. Tumble, the highest I'll be able to get it is 10. I'm okay with that. Use magic device though, because it's charisma based. I want to get this thing to 16 by the time I get to level 30, which I can. And then any charisma increases that I have will push it up and over the top, meaning I should be able to use most magical items, if not all. So I'll be pretty happy about that. You know, okay hit points, armor sucks balls, but remember this is an armor based build. It's divine casting, so I can wear armor, and I will do so. I'm trying to make sure I have the light stuff so that I'm not penalized for all my skill checks and stuff. But this one will be fun, I think. It's not necessarily my favorite choice for a hero type, but I've always wanted to try it. This is the other one. And, oops, excuse me, I thought I was finished with this. Boom. Big wolf. Okay, now okay. This is the other good / neutral character, and it is a Ranger Monk split. It is 9 dips into Monk, scattered as you see here, and then even all the way to level 30, the rest of it will be Ranger. So we start off at Ranger, dip around a little bit with Monk and Ranger, finish off the Monk levels early, and then go rest Ranger from level 16 on. It'll be Ranger, so that I can get perfect 2-weapon fighting by level 30. It'll even be before that, I think, but still, it'll be pretty sweet. And it'll be a shredding machine. I'll have the ability to make weapons, not the best ever, but you'll see that here in a minute. So build. I mean, I'm a hero, so I'm kind of middling for everything here except for charisma, but I'm a forest junkie, ranger / monk, so I got no social skills. I'm okay with that. We pump a little bit into dex, a little bit into con, and nothing stellar. Eventually, you'll just go straight up dex after that, I think. But I wanted to make sure to get the con up a little bit to give me some extra hit points. This thing will have favorite enemies because it is a ranger. The 3 that I'll pick all the way to level 20 were random. Humans were important to me. Undead are always a fan for destroying those little bastards. And outsiders are tough, so I figured why the hell not. I can happily pick anything else. I'm really not married to that. But humans are always a good choice, and undead are always a good choice, in my estimation. You find usually those in almost every damn campaign. This one is comma build, and you'll see why here in a moment. Because we're going 2-weapon style, I can have 2 weapons, and 1 weapon in each hand, right? So wielding 2 weapons at a time. This build, if you go into summary, you'll see I get multiple attacks, quite a few of them. I don't get quite as many in the offhand yet, but I can increase that by doing flurry of blows. Why is that? Because commas fall in that category. The reason I can pick comma is because I have ranger levels. So rangers give me martial proficiency, and where is it? These commas in here or in martial? Gotta be in martial, right? We'll see it. Is it monk? Can't be monk, because that one guy had monk and he did not have comma. Why the heck did he not pick commas in his build? Alright, that's gotta be a glitch. No, I'll check it out later. But point is, I have commas that I have access to. The commas can flurry of blows for me, which increases the number of attacks per round, which will be nice. So once I activate that, I have a comma in each hand. And while commas don't do terribly a ton of damage, it's fun. I get an animal companion. I picked Wolf to help me out. I am going to sneak thief around, so most people will go Panther, but Panther I hear is glitched. All these are reasonably good choices as far as I'm concerned, with the exception of possibly Badger. Spider gives a little poison bite. Brown Bear and Boar are tough and little meat shields. Wolf does a knockdown maneuver, so he's helpful. And I figured if I'm going to be kind of like a little ninja, even though I'm not really one, I figured why not have a little dog pet with me, right? That'd be cool. So, weapon finesse, picked it up once I finally get dexterity to exceed my strength, so that was nice. The weapon focus will be helpful. I went for improved critical for comma. Not sure about expert tactician. Kind of had to throw something in there and there. I figured dodge, why not? But by and large, I get a lot of good gravy here for being a monk/ranger split. Once I get this all the way to 30 eventually, this thing will be a shredding machine with perfect two-weapon fighting. I'll have the same number of attacks in my right hand as I do in my left hand. And here's why I think this build would work with some help. You have to have two different kinds of comma. And what I mean by that is they'll both be magical. One will be like adamantine, the other one will be cold iron or alchemical silver, right? And the idea is I'll have one of those, each of those three. If I come across something like undead or an outsider that is, it will only take damage. It has like DR based off of it, being an outsider, demon, whatever, and only cold iron will affect it. Well, okay, I got a comma for that. So at least I'll have one weapon that's hurting it, right, is the goal here. If it's something that's cast on, that stone skin, where adamantine weapons penetrate it, well, I'll have a comma that'll damage those guys. If I need to fight, the shapeshifters or whatever, I'll have an alchemical silver one in the other hand. So at the very least, one of my hands will be doing damage. That's the goal. I hate those bastards that basically shrug off all my damage, and only the best attacks I have get through. That pisses me off. And since they'll both be magical, I don't have to worry about those guys that have like ghostly visions on them and only magic penetrates those attacks. I'll have that covered too. So I think this would work. This one looks fun to me. I love playing it, and it's a sneak thief. Let me show you the skills. Lots of points. Yeah, some decent concentration, not stellar. Remember, I am a ranger. I do have spell casting. Won't be a lot, but it's there. Craft alchemy, I needed enough to get to like 8, just so that I'd have the ability to make acid flask, or the greater acid flask, or the better improved acid flask, that is what they call it, as well as the alchemical fire and a little bit of essence harvesting, if need be. Armor 1 with the intelligence bubble 3 will allow me to make like leather or studded leather. Craft weapon 18 will allow me to make some of those combos I'm talking about. If I want to make any of the adamantine ones, it's 8 plus 15, so that'll be 23 that I'll need, if I remember it correctly. So I'll need a little bump to my intelligence or my skills, which is like heroism spells, or what's that other guy, that bard that does the inspirations, can help push me up and over the 23 that I need to make the adamantine commas. I should be able to do it. Diplomacy's okay. I got penalties thanks to my devout background. Kind of sucks, but I'm an okay healer as far as kits are concerned. I really went nuts with the monk/ranger abilities of hiding, moving silently, search, spot. Tumbles even pretty darn high. Eventually I'll get to 30, so I'll get an extra armor class increase thanks to it. Right now I get the +2 thanks to with the 20 here. Listens at 23, but I mentioned it last because the way I did the skills, I really couldn't get it until the very end. As you see here, here's our listen. And I'm okay with that. Spot, I think, as I've been told, is better than listen. Both are necessary, so I'm trying to get them both up. But I was working on other stuff in the meantime. So if you heard differently or know differently, please tell me that to switch it from one to the other. I can rearrange them as needed. But I will get them both to equal levels, and eventually they'll both be at like 33s. I want to be the sneak thief. I don't want anyone else to sneak thief. That's the goal here. But I think this build would be fun as well. So this one's kind of like the same/different of the evil bastard here. And again, why he doesn't get the ability Oh, I remember now. Because he has to have the dagger for the invisible blade. That's what it was. It's the kukri that it doesn't have access to. That's the bummer. Okay, now it makes sense. But with that, my name's Brothermutant. You don't have to like or subscribe based on this video. By all means, tell me what you guys think. If you heard of another build or can link me to another build, by all means, let me know what else you'd like to see instead for an evil build or a good/neutral build. But I think these are a pretty good starting place for my next LP. Tell me who you'd like to see or what you'd like me to switch up on them, all right? But with that, I'll see you guys soon. Bye now.